Welcome back, guys. Unranked podcast. We're back for another week. We have myself, Grant. Also have Elijah. We're going to talk about this week since we feel like this is where Michigan football season really begins. We're going to definitely chat about what we are thinking about this game that they play. They play Wisconsin this weekend. I'm definitely going to dive into that a little bit. We're also going to talk about some of our biggest surprises and disappointments regarding players and teams in the NFL. So I guess we'll start off with Michigan first. And big game this week, Eli. So I'm gonna shoot it over to you. I want you to give me your game plan. What do you think they need to do in order to get W in Madison this weekend?
Yeah, no, as you said, I think this is where the season really, so-called starts. I think we thought Washington was going to be a little more formidable than they were, and that didn't happen. So we didn't get a real test there like we, had thought all summer. So this is kind of really where it starts. It's we started the Big Ten schedule last week with Rutgers, but this is kind of a old school Big Ten game, a real Big Ten game is with Wisconsin coming. They coming off a loss to Notre Dame. I think they played at Soldier Field last week. They lost. Didn't look all that hot in the game. So I think they're going to obviously come fired up as well. So I think this is going to be an interesting game with all that cooking, heading into the game. But I say, if you ask me what the game plan is, we absolutely have to open the playbook up a little bit. I think I want to I like establishing a run. And then obviously if we can go in there and rush for 300 yards on them, then that'd be phenomenal. But I just can't see that happening. So I would say I think we're going to have to make it interesting. We're going to have to mix in good runs like we have been doing, but also, Henning coming around on the end, on the wide receiver reverse, or maybe a double reverse. We haven't seen that yet. Make it interesting, throw in some more screenplays personally. I just think, we got to get more of an offensive rhythm going outside of just trying to play smash mouth football, which we see already how that worked playing a Big Ten team in Rutgers, that it just didn't. Where I think we may have cracked 100 yards rushing. I'm not even sure about that. So,
115, 120.
Yeah. So it didn't work as well as it had been. And I can guarantee that Wisconsin's going to be a lot more tough defensively than Rutgers was. So that's kind of what I'm saying. Open it up a little bit. And maybe we'll catch them off guard offensively because we haven't shown that yet.
Right. Do you think they trust Cade? I feel like, so I'm looking at these games and I know, obviously the run's been working. So why go away from it? When they do throw, it's just not very, obviously airing it out against some of those like MAC teams and some of them like teams that didn't belong on the field with Michigan. But I just feel like they're kind of like not really trusting them all that much. Am I wrong? Or what do you think?
Yeah, I guess it would be not trusting him. I think it's kind of quarterback has shot us in the foot so many times. Whether it was last year or Shea Patterson having his up and downs, or whoever it was. And I think if they can try to avoid the quarterback mistake and just run the ball, I think that's kind of what they're thinking. But ultimately, that can come back to haunt you when your quarterback isn't ready, when he has to be able to step back and throw it, or when he's having to throw more than like 15, 17 passes in a game. What's going to happen when we just can't run the ball? He's going to have to step back and throw it 25, 30 times.
Right.
And I think we should have prepared him a little more in those early games, and maybe not just try to get such impressive rushing stats, and maybe try to push him along as far as offensively being able to step back and throw it. But
right.
What would you say some of your keys are, whether it's offense or defense for us?
I think, so this is a tough one. You got Wisconsin coming off a pretty bad loss. And I'm going to say I always feel like this is the second time this season already that Harbaugh would have an opportunity to beat a top 25 team, and then they kind of shit the bed the weekend before, so now they're unranked. So that's another conversation for another day. But I think just kind of like I said earlier, I don't really know who they are, like what they are. They lost to a Penn State team that is like top 5 now in the country, if I'm not mistaken, at least top 10. They kind of got, they got beat down pretty nice by Notre Dame. Notre Dame also only beat a Florida State team that's 0-3. They struggle with a Toledo, like a MAC school, Toledo, and they also kind of struggle with Penn State, or not Penn State. I'm sorry, Purdue. So it's really kind of like a toss up. Only thing that kind of concerns me is like being up in Madison. I'm glad it's not like a crazy night game where it'll just be like rocking like out of control. It's still gonna be a pretty hostile environment. I think the key for them is just, I think it's gonna start on the defensive side of the ball. At least for me personally, they got to come out there, and so far this year they've been bend but don't break. Been doing a great job of forcing turnovers, stopping the run for the most part. I think they gotta, those corners got to be, ready. I think because we know what Wisconsin's gonna do. They're gonna run the ball a lot. So we got to make them uncomfortable by getting them in those second and long, third and long positions and making that guy, Graham Mertz, who threw 4 interceptions last week, we got to make him do some of that, again. So we got to just make sure we're not letting that, letting them get the run game get going. That's usually what Wisconsin's done to us the last couple of years. They beat down on us pretty bad. They've ran the ball 250, 300 yards both the last couple of games. We lost to them pretty bad. So I just think that is what we need to do on defense and offense. I'm right there with you. We got to open it up more. I think we got to, establish the run and use play action to our advantage. And we do have to definitely keep them honest. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Harbaugh's I thought he's been known for just taking a shot early, trying to just test the defense, see what they're looking at, see what they're doing. And I just hope that we're already kind of thin at receivers. So I hope that some of them guys can make some big time plays this week. So we'll see. What's your score prediction?
Yeah, real quick, do you know if Ross is playing, linebacker?
I don't know. I saw he had a shoulder issue. I'm not sure if he's playing or not, though.
I think that'd be a major, wrinkle in what our whole defense can do. A guy he's got to be a senior now. Removing him from the equation is going to make that anchor of that defense, I would say, one of the anchors, definitely from the linebackers' perspective, a hell of a lot harder for us to come out there and fill them holes and
right.
That's going to be tough. But I guess I am going to go out and predict us to win, but I would say it's probably going to be a little bit of a sloppy win. I'll go like 21-17, Michigan.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know if you watched the Wisconsin game last week. They looked really bad.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you the whole thing, but I watched the first half 100%. They both teams look great the first half, but I see it.
So I'm going to say like 24. What's that? 24-13, Michigan. I think, yeah, because I don't have any. I think we'll be able to score fine. I just feel like we just got to be able to, we can't let them get rolling on offense. We cannot give them confidence. We got to kick them while they're already down. Right. Ultimately to secure that win. So we'll see though. It's going to be a good environment. I think, I made a joke earlier about how I wish Harbaugh, I wish they were still ranked. So, be able to put a solid win on the resume. But I think anytime you're able to beat down on a Big Ten opponent at their house, that's a big win regardless. So
I second that. I agree.
So yeah, what we're going to go ahead and do now is we're make a transition to the pros. 3 weeks into the season, seeing quite a bit of football already. Obviously, there's some surprises. There are always some surprises when you start the season off. And there's always some disappointments. So I'm gonna kick it back to you, E. Who's been your biggest surprise, player or team, when it comes to these first 3 weeks of the season?
My fault. Technical difficulty. Yeah. No, I would just say biggest surprise here. I would just say, Deshaun Jackson, and just how he seems to be ageless when it comes to, just how he can always seem to get past the defense, get deep, and blow the top off the defense. And that's just it's been impressive since days at Cal. And I seeing him, expose the defense a couple of times for, 40, 50-yard bombs this past week versus the Bucks was just kind of impressive. And also considering that Matthew Stafford threw him short one time, so that could have been another one. And, and I would say that's probably just the beginning. They have a pretty good offensive flow as far as him, Cooper Kupp, Stafford sitting there slinging it. And I was very impressed early on, a couple weeks into the season to see what he has been able to put together. And I'm just going to go out and say this. He hasn't had 1,000 yards since 2016. Obviously we're in 2021 here. So it'd be interesting to see if he can put together, one of his, let's say, in prime type years. That's 1,000 yards, around 10 touchdowns, and that'd be impressive to see with somebody that's in their mid-30s.
Yeah. And to say too, I mean, he's got the quarterback to do it for sure, and you already got, teams already got to worry about Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp. They got always have solid tight ends. So I feel like he definitely has the opportunity here to, make some big plays. And 1,000 yards, I think that'd be kind of tough for him. I know he's getting a little up there in age. He can still run though, so we'll see. But I do feel like he's in a great spot in order to put up some numbers. So I'll be honest, I didn't even know he was even playing anymore until he caught that pass and was just at 60, 70 yarder and was just, going downfield on him and had another, like 4 catches for like 120 yards or something like that. Yeah. So he definitely still got some juice left. So.
Yeah, no, and I agree. 1,000 yards is obviously a steep goal. Yeah. I think he is like 150 so far this year. But an extra game in the year, and I'm not saying it's completely impossible.
Yeah.
When your only job is to run 9 routes. And he'll be in
that slot against most teams' weakest, in some situations, weakest corner too.
Exactly.
So there's opportunities there for sure. And Rams, they got 2 slot guys that's gonna be causing some issues. I love seeing Stafford.
He'll blow the top off the Lions when they play.
Yeah. Oh yeah, couple different times. We might see the vintage Deshaun. He might go for $160, $170. He'll do something crazy for sure. He might. So yeah, I'm gonna say my surprise. It's not a surprise to everybody. It's probably not a surprise to everybody after the year he had, his rookie year. But for me, I just wanted to see more. Justin Herbert. Like last year, he obviously had a great season, but I'm just gonna give him the. Kind of, I feel like the same thing that people always said about like Stafford was like he was playing great, but the team wasn't really playing very well. So how good is he really? You know what I mean? I know they lost a couple of different games by like a touchdown or two, and there's like some bad management as far as like coaching are concerned. He had a great season. I think he broke a couple of different records. I just didn't know if that was just like fluke. You know what I mean? But coming in, seeing him go across the country, play Washington. Throw for like 350 yards on number 1 defense last year, get the win there. And then also see him, playing the Chiefs this weekend. Like he went toe for toe with the greatest quarterback, probably the greatest quarterback in the league right now. A lot of people will probably agree with Mahomes being the best QB in the league at the moment.
I certainly do.
294, he had 294 touchdowns, no picks. I was watching the back half of that game when they were tied up and Mahomes just throwing the pick. And he was out there looking like a 4 or 5 year veteran, drove him down the field, and it was like throwing the ball. Like they weren't, trying to run out clock and kick a field goal and give Kansas City time. They were like, we want to score. Like they were being super aggressive. And I don't know. I just seen some of the throws he was making, and he just looks like he's years ahead of where he should be. And looking back on that draft, some would argue he could have went over Burrow. I know Miami definitely wish they would have took him over Tua.
Right.
So yeah, I like his game though. I like what I see so far.
Yeah, no. So I'm not even gonna lie. I haven't watched a whole lot of him. I did get an opportunity to watch him last year, but as you said, I haven't given him his fair shot and actually sat down and watched like a whole series or end of the game. We had to close it out like that. But he is one of those interesting guys that kind of shot up. I feel like in the draft, I didn't really see him play. I think he's an Oregon guy, right? Didn't really get to see him play a whole lot there either. And but no, he definitely looks phenomenal. Through this short window of his career. So it is interesting. He one of the good young guys that might make a splash and start mixing it up, make it difficult for Mahomes or difficult for any of the other guys that are kind of we think might have the throne next.
Yeah, because everybody thought that after seeing Mahomes his second and third year, they're like, yeah, they're gonna win at least 4, 5, 6 championships over the next 10 years. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at Herbert. If they can keep the Chargers always are decent. You know, they always got a nice little core, solid defense. I mean, if Herbert he's on a trajectory almost as high as Mahomes is. Like Mahomes had to sit out a year. Herbert got thrown in the fire seconds before, kickoff. And like I said, did not really look like a rookie at all last year. So it's going to be some good matchups for sure. And luckily for you, they got Chargers play this Monday night. They played the Raiders, so it'll be a good division matchup on Monday night. He's thrown for over 310, 315. Oh no, I'm sorry. He threw for like 286 or 290 last week, but he be airing it out. Like he is not, he's not dipping and dunking. I love his receiver. He's got Keenan Allen on one side, Mike Williams on the other side. So he's definitely been doing his thing.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'll check him out. 100%. And, I like when the guys air it out. I don't like them, death by 1,000 cuts guy.
Right.
But, now I'm going to another guy that likes to air it out, and that'd be Lamar Jackson and a guy, this would be a disappointment. Opposite side of this is a younger cat, and that is a Hollywood Brown. I just felt like he literally dropped the ball a couple of times this week when he could have, really seized that opportunity to really plant himself as a number one receiver. Plant himself as a person that Lamar Jackson can go to, on any given down. Step up, throw it to him deep when he wants to, underneath. And I just feel like he's kind of literally not seizing the opportunity as well as he should. And they have to be on the market for another, top flight receiver this draft or this offseason. I think he's proven that he's going to settle himself better into, that second receiver. And he's still very explosive, but I think you cannot have those type of drops in big moments. And they're lucky that, that was still kind of pulled out through the freak nature of missed call. It's the longest field goal in NFL history. And so the passes kind of go under the radar. But if they mess around and lose that game, a lot more fingers can be pointed to those two drops. And so I kind of think that can't go unnoticed.
Yeah. Luckily they got Bateman coming back. I never really thought Hollywood Brown was a true number one. He just felt like he's just too small. Just he's fast, but some DBs get their hands on him. It's kind of tough. And yeah, I was just, like I told you before we got on here, I saw the one drop where he just dropped one like right before he was about to walk into the end zone. I didn't see the other two where he was in the end zone, basically, like, and just right here. That's what was kind of throwing me off was like, I just, everybody saw how he might be having a breakout year and definitely coming doing his thing. And, he's been pretty underwhelming, I would say, the first few weeks of the season. But he got time, he'll bounce back. This is where, you got to kind of dig in. They already lost all their running backs. It's just Lamar, on offense. So this is where he needs to get on that jug machine or something after practice and start trying to, just catch the ball, bring it in. It's that simple. So
no, I agree. I'm not gonna say I guarantee he thought he was a number one receiver for sure. I just think on those moments, you have to maximize on those moments. And he's clearly getting open. He's clearly a fast guy, and you could be in the ilk of a Deshaun Jackson. I didn't even kind of put that together, but he could be in that ilk if he would, just kind of be more sure-handed and he could blow the top off of any defense. So I just kind of think, but with that being said, those drops were kind of largely be forgotten due to the win. But if they came out with a loss, I think there might even be kind of, ESPN segments on his drop passes. So, he can be thankful for that 66-yard field goal.
Absolutely. I'm going to talk about my biggest disappointment, and it changed from what I told you before we got on here, because I don't know how I forgot about this. I wanted to talk about this all week. Pittsburgh Steelers. Ben Roethlisberger in particular. We knew I think he's about to be 40 this year. He's never one to be all crazy like Brady, taking care of his body and everything, 365 days a year. I thought that he might have a better season this year. He did okay last year, kind of fell off towards the end of the season, but they said he came in slimmed out, lost some weight, just was throwing the ball really well. a year removed, 2 years removed now, I believe, from having that elbow surgery. But I mean, he has been. I mean, after that Buffalo game, he was. I mean, even that Buffalo game, their defense won that game, if you ask me. I mean, they blocked a punt. They had like 5, 6 sacks, forced a couple turnovers, if I'm not mistaken. But he has just been. When I saw him throw on 4th and 10 to Najee Harris in the flat when they were down like 10 points in the fourth quarter, I was just like, I mean, he's done. Like, I don't think there's any – if I'm the Steelers, I wouldn't even want to bring him back next year if he was still trying to come back next year. I saw times where he was literally hiking the ball, took 2 steps to throw a pass and, like, fell. Just like I don't know if he – I don't know if his body's just kind of, like, going out on him, what the case may be. But what's so crazy is that he almost put them, in a situation where, I mean, he was getting mad that they were drafting a backup quarterback because he wanted them to get more and more weapons. Not in a spot to where, Dwayne Haskins, I mean, he might be the answer, but, he didn't really play that great in Washington. We already seen what Mason Rudolph has done. I'm surprised he knows the offense. That's probably why they're holding on to him. But yeah, I mean, that team goes as he goes, and they're definitely going in the wrong direction. They're 1-2 already, and they got to go to Green Bay this weekend. So, I mean, it's not going to get much better from here. Still got to obviously – I mean, they're in one of the toughest divisions in the NFL too. So, I thought they were going to come off to a lot better start than what they did, but it hasn't been looking good.
And I think that's a great disappointment. I think after they beat the Buffalo Bills, I came on here and gave them praise. Gave the coach praise and just said, how they always kind of put it together, always have a tough team. And we could come back on here in 3 weeks and they could be 3-0 and we could be like, oh, they did it again.
Yeah.
So it's entirely possible that they could still scrape out an 8-8 season, a 9-7, whatever, but I definitely do agree with you. And it might be time for Big Ben to hang it up. I have always kind of liked him, back from when he even had Jerome Bettis to, on the present day, he had a wave where he was a great quarterback for many years. Yeah. I do generally like him, but time is time when and it might be here. So, it's one of those things where maybe, like you said, Haskins could be the answer down the line, but I also think that probably would be, they kind of thought maybe we have another year of development and let Big Ben stay here and do all right. You would think that he'd be looking like this. So I don't think the Haskins, I think if they probably brought him in thinking that, hey, let's see what he can have. Let's see what he can be in a year or two if we train him up. But I don't think they thought he'd be on the field this year. And I wouldn't be shocked, if they do have a bad record that they go out and get a quarterback early. I think with a defense like that, you just drafted a running back last year in Najee Harris. So you clearly have weapons, and you're the Steelers, so you'll be able to put together somebody, a free agent. And so I definitely don't see them being out of the mix for too long.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, their defense always going to carry them. My concern with them is just even the defense. Like, got guys starting to get banged up on that side. I don't understand how that game they lost to the Bengals, like 24-10. It wasn't like it was like a massive blowout. Like, Najee Harris only ran the ball like 10 carries, like 14 carries for like 40 yards, and 1 carry was for 20. They're not even like, and their O-line's not playing that great, but I still just feel like they're not even trying to like run the ball. Big Ben threw the ball 55 times.
Yes.
That's
a lot for any quarterback.
Yeah, and I mean, and he's just dipping and dunking. And I'll say, too, the receivers are dropping passes. So, like, that team as a whole, they're definitely not playing like Steelers football, the football we've grown up to watch them play. I do feel like, they are – just because they are who they are, 9-8, 10-7, I think they can definitely still make that happen. It's going to be real interesting because like Big Ben is like – he's, like, deteriorating, like, by the week. Like, it's getting, like, pretty bad.
I think on Twitter where they put a image over Big Ben, like it was all these highlights of Big Ben doing bad, and they like put it in black and white. Talk about it looked like he was playing in the 40s.
He's just a step behind this year, man. I don't know what it is. Like it's just crazy because I mean you see Brady like out there, he like aging backwards, but Brady always took care of his body. I think you said what?
the steroids. But
He come out 5 years from now that he's been taking steroids for the last 10 years. But no, but then the knock on Ben has always been like, he in the off season, like he don't really work out like that.
I 100% agree with that, and he always that's been him. You'll see him the videos of him with beer or out gambling or whatever. So that's always kind of been him. But also the way Big Ben has played for the last 15 years is different. He's all the greatest highlights are him ripping people like Jameis this past week. Him ripping people off, throwing a dart over the middle.
Yeah, playing super hurt.
Yeah, playing super hurt. So he's always been banged up, and he's just a big, brute, strong. That's what he is. So it's kind of your body's going to deteriorate a lot quicker.
Right.
A la Cam Newton, somebody like that, where you just take such a beating over the whatever.
Right.
And Big Ben's probably, like you said, he's approaching 40. He's probably been in the league since like what, 03 maybe, 04. He's been, yeah.
He definitely, yeah. It's I think it's just Father Time yanking him a little sooner than he thought Father Time would yank him. Right. And it is, I agree with you. I feel like we could look up, they could beat the Steelers or they could beat the Packers. They got their own problems, here and there. Just like with that team, they could rattle off, 3 or 4 wins where they right back in the good graces. I just like the way that they're looking now with 14 weeks left. It's they ain't looking all that great, but we'll see though.
I agree.
We'll see. Yeah, I think that's what we are going to cover today. Do you have anything else for the people?
No, sir. I appreciate it. Appreciate y'all tuning back in. We're going to be back at you next week. This video dropped tomorrow. That's Thursday the 30th. And, we'll be back at it next week. Appreciate you watching.
All right. Sounds good. Till next time.